Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Timon from Google for Startups, bringing you the last week of Startup School Gen AI. I'm calling today you from a sunny, yeah, there is a sun from a sunny London, and happy to have you here on the last week. Can you imagine it's the last week of our chapter 2 of Startup School Gen AI? Today, as a wrap up, we're going to deep dive into quality, evaluations, responsible AI, and safety. We've learned a lot about RAG, about multimodality in the previous weeks, but right now we need to take a look, a helicopter view on all of those elements that are mentioned here: the quality, how to evaluate the models, and our agents, how to make our AI responsible and safe. But before we go, let me just run through these couple of intro slides. You know them very well. They're almost always the same. But just so you know, we are in the week 4. We have this deep dive. And on Thursday, we're going to meet again and bring it all together. Just a quick information for you. Thank you for your feedback from the week 3. Your feedback on the sessions of our partners was basically amazing. You were very satisfied, so thank you. It was the best week so far, so thank you very much for your comments and also comments. What can we do better? We're reading every single line and trying to incorporate them. So thank you very much. And if you haven't still yet left your feedback, remember on the Friday you should have received an email with the feedback form, and we'd be grateful if you can take a few minutes to leave the feedback for us. So just to recap, you know this slide also very well, but we are having these live sessions just right now, just like this one here, but they are available to watch on demand. And we, of course, have the number of Skills Boost labs and notebooks for you to complete. As always, there is this short link over there under number 2, so you can access the recommended labs and notebooks and our GitHub repo. Everything is in this one place, so this is the one link that rules them all. Now, just wanted to quickly jump into the Skills Boost platform. Most of you, I know, redeemed the credits already. So just a quick reminder, you'll have another 5 months to use the credits that you got. Don't forget about it, because the labs over there are great to practice, and the teams in Google, they're building new labs almost every week. So whenever something new shows up, probably there's going to be a lab about that. So make sure you have this habit of visiting Skills Boost and finishing more and more labs in the future. These 209 credits that you should have received should be absolutely enough to complete almost all the labs. So remember, even the startup school is over this week, you will still have additional 5 months to use those credits. I've read in the feedback that sometimes you encounter some problems, a lab is not loading or there is an error. It might happen because it's a live production, and things are constantly changing. So if it's just a basic error, don't be afraid to just reload the page. Usually it helps. Yes, the basic turn off, turn on again. But if the error is persisting, please reach out to support@quicklabs.com and report any problems you might have. They will know how to triage your errors. But for those of you that are jumping here on the week 4 for the first time, in the confirmation email you get the instructions, but just in case, the instructions are also here how to get the 209 credits on us. Last but not least, I will quickly and soon jump to chat that is on the right hand side. I love being there with you guys. So say hello, tell us where you're coming from, and just use the chat to freely comment what's happening on the screen. But if you want an Google expert, an AI expert to answer your question about your agent, about your specific case, please use the Q&A panel down below. It takes sometimes a while for the questions to show up there, but I can promise we have fantastic experts that are there to answer your questions live. Please also try to interact there. Please upvote questions that sound great, because we are going to use them for our live Q&A at the end of this sessions. You can read obviously the slides. I'm going to not read out the slide, but just a reminder: this is recorded, but we're not showing the slides, so you will be able for the next couple of months to revisit these recordings and take your time to reflect back on what was taught. We're going to cover labs as usual today, but don't try to complete them simultaneously with the instructor. As I said, you have plenty of time to finish them in your own time. The only limited time was the previous lab/game with NVIDIA. Thanks for taking part. I hope you liked it. It was open only until the end of the last weekend, so it's closed now, but I hope some of you took a chance and tried to finish it. With that, I'm done with all the housekeeping and intro emceeing, and it's my great pleasure to invite Ivan and Irina to stage. You might remember Ivan from the previous startup school in Q1. Hello, guys. I'm really happy you found the time and you're willing to share your knowledge about evaluation, safety, responsibility. I mean, this is important. I mean, it was all about code and technicalities, but I love that we're gonna spend some time to talk about something that is really important these days, and especially with people having some second thoughts about AI, what will happen, how it's replacing humans. So to be responsible, to be safe, and to be the best. That's the evaluation part. That's, I think, the important element. I'll let you introduce yourselves, but good luck. Have fun. I see you in about an hour or so for the Q&A. But with that, I leave you with the best crowd ever, the startup school students.
Thank you. So, hi everyone, and welcome to this new session. So, as you can see, today we are going to discuss about KERAS, which is just an acronym that we introduce to put together these concepts of quality, evaluation, responsible AI, and safety for AI agents. So hi, I'm Ivan Nardini. I'm a customer engineer at Google Cloud. I'm working on AI ML, and I'm super excited to be here today. And with me, I have Irina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Irina. I live in Zurich, and I'm the product manager for explainability, experiments, and evaluation in cloud. I'm part of the Vertex team, and I'm very excited to be here today. Actually, this is my very first startup school.
Cool. So let's look at the agenda. So first of all, we will start about introducing you this concept of KERAS. So how we, as a Google Cloud with Vertex AI, we cover those concepts of quality, evaluations, responsible AI safety with the agents. And then I will show you how to use these concepts to build AI agents on Vertex AI. We are going to have a demo. And then we will also have some Q&A session. We will share with you resources. So stay with us till the end of the presentation. One important premise is that both me and Irina, we want to do is that all the content that we are going to share today is essentially based on our practical experiences. And that's because, as you can imagine, building a high quality, responsible safety agent is still an active research area. So, I mean, what we did the best to put together everything we can provide with Vertex AI in order to help you to build this kind of an agent. But again, it's everything is going to be shared. It's based on our experience. So feel free to adapt and all the content that we are going to discuss today to your use case, to your scenario, and to your context. So with that, let's start talking about those concepts. And in particular, we are going to focus on evaluation part. Irina, up to you.
Thank you. All right. I actually want to take us one step back from agents and do a quick intro and how we can actually think about evaluating and understanding these models. Because one main question is, what are we actually looking at when we're doing an evaluation here? I mean, the beauty of these models, and you played around with them now for a while, the beauty is their ability to perform very well across a wide range of tasks. And this is what we see captured in, say, technical reports and the leaderboards. The aim is always to provide an assessment that captures the breadth of tasks that individual models can perform. And here on the next slide, we see a snapshot of the technical report for Gemma, and a number of benchmark tasks are presented. So one is MMLU, which is a set of questions testing general knowledge and problem solving. And these leaderboards and technical reports are really important to understand how a model performs overall. But when you're building your specific application, what you seek to understand is actually a bit different. It is important to understand the technical reports and benchmarks, but here today we want to help you evaluate a model or an agent's performance for your very specific use case. So say you are a publisher seeking to build an application that summarizes newspaper articles. What do you need to evaluate? You need to understand how your model performs the specific task of summarizing newspaper articles, and not just any articles, but in the tone, style, and topic of the articles that matter for your specific use case. Second, the evaluation you conduct is not only about the model, right? And we are going to talk about this today a lot, and you heard this throughout the startup school. The model is one core element in your overall architecture, but there's lots of pieces that goes around it, right? For today's topic, it's an agentic workflow. Maybe you want to augment some knowledge capabilities and you build a rack type architecture. Maybe you want to adapt the model to speak in the specific brand voice that you care about, and then you think about tuning. Your evaluation needs to take all of that into account. And finally, and that is what makes evaluation of generative tasks so interesting, evaluation is subjective when it comes to the generation of new contents. We all have individual preferences, and it's important to take them into account during evaluation to actually get the model to do what we care about. There is no standard definition of a good summary or a good article or a good image. But you can define criteria that reflect what good means to you for a specific use case. And then you need to evaluate against these very specific criteria. And to help you build this task-based evaluation that I've just spoken about, today we're going to use the GenAI evaluation service that is available on Vertex. This is your toolkit of our quality-controlled and explainable methods that you can leverage to evaluate a model's performance for your specific use case. And let's go through the layers real quick. You're going to see practical applications later on in the demo. So first, the question, let's start on the top. The question I get asked most often, yes, you can use our tools to evaluate any model, not just our first-party models, but any model that you seek to evaluate. For some models, we let you run inference directly in our service, but we also let you bring your inference results directly, so you're not dependent on any inference running within Vertex. Second, let's look at the second layer. There's two modes that we present here. And why did we decide to have this notebook-based and this pipeline-based evaluation offering? To explain that a bit more practically, let's have a look at a typical workflow that you might encounter in building your summarization application. And then it will become hopefully clear quite quickly. So if we go to the next slide, this is what a workflow could look like. And the one thing missing here is that everything has loops back. So my very first interaction with a model is oftentimes just asking a question. It's prompting the model. This is what's so exciting about these models. I can start prototyping right away in the form of a simple text prompt. And prompt engineering is all about asking the right question to shape the output of my model. And if I built an application like we're going to do today, I don't only care about asking one right question. I seek a recipe that creates the desired output in a repeatable manner. And this recipe we call a prompt template. So as I'm rapidly iterating through the various prompt templates that I can imagine, I need evaluation to serve as my interactive assistant to understand if I'm heading in the right direction. I can go through a number of prompt templates quite quickly, and I don't want to wait for the evaluation results. And the same goes for the second big decision, right? Which model do I want to use? I can compare models on the fly. And when I do that, I want to see my evaluation results rapidly without waiting, so I can quickly compare more and more models. Next, I have a couple decisions that allow me to tweak performance and require a bit more work on my end. Maybe I augment the model's knowledge with an external source. I need evaluation to understand decision making around the design of the augmentation. Maybe you try different chunking sizes. This is a larger adjustment, and I might want to evaluate the impact of that adjustment with a larger evaluation data set. Here I look for a batch job that allows me to do that efficiently. Similar if I tune my model or when I'm close to production. If I'm close to production, I want to use a data set that includes a lot of corner cases to see how well my final architecture performs. Again, this is not a time where I care about results in seconds. This is a time where I care about an efficient batch job. So evaluation is not one step in the process. What I want to show with this slide is it's a continuous practice that you need to build throughout your workflow to make better decisions and to iterate faster. And think of evaluation as an assistant that helps you navigate throughout this development journey. And I hope this solves the question of why we offer two modes, because sometimes you need results in seconds and the assistance and the guidance in seconds. And sometimes you want an effective batch job that you can plug into your production pipeline, and we offer both these modalities. And I see that Ivan is already going to the next slide, maybe to speed me up a bit because I can go on about this forever. So let's jump to the last two layers. Our evaluation offering is pointwise and pairwise. This is very simple. Pointwise is we evaluate one model against a set of criteria. Pairwise, think of A/B testing. It's two models against each other on the tasks that you care about. And finally, the models, and we can go to the methods, and we can go through to the next slide here. There's 3 evaluation methods, and you're going to see the first 2 in the demo later today. So computation-based metrics, very similar to how we evaluated predictive model. You compare something new against the ground truth that you provide. This is this ground truth that is a set of labeled input-output pairs. And the main premise of all these methods is that you compare a new output to a golden data set. These metrics are very efficient, and they give you a sense of if you're going in the right direction. At the same time, it's important to be careful with these metrics when it comes to generative tasks. And there's 2 reasons for that. One, it's not easy to put everything you want from, say, a summary into a specific formula. And 2, say you crafted your beautiful golden summary, but the model produces a very different summary that you still like, right? 2 summaries can be very different, but still both good. A metric cannot capture that. If the new summary is very, very different, the metric will say that the result is bad. So this is why we offer autorator-based evaluation. This takes us one step closer to human evaluation and helps us understand these generative tasks and their nuances a bit better. Autorators use another large language model to act as a judge. Here, the LLM is specifically tailored to perform the task of evaluation. This method can be applied with ground truth, but it does not require a ground truth. It's actually sufficient if you only bring your input labels. The autorators that you find in Vertex, they are all quality controlled and calibrated with human raters. So we measure what an autorator judgment looks like against how humans would rate on the same exact setting. And you can find our service managed and out of the box, but you can also tailor it by providing your custom criteria. To allow you to scrutinize and build trust in the evaluation, we offer a couple workflows that Ivan is going to touch on later. You find explanations per decision. You find certainty scores that explain to you how certain an autorator is in a specific judgment. And finally, there is a notebook that helps you benchmark our autorator against your preferences. And finally, and I'm going to jump to the third method here, this is still an experimental. We offer you a path to human evaluation without leaving Vertex. And we achieved that by partnering with other companies. Labelbox is the first one that we are running the experimental with. All right, so this was my very quick excursus to evaluation of generative tasks overall to lay the foundation of the presentation that you're gonna see today. So Ivan, please take us back to agents now.
Okay, so thank you, Irina. So as you noticed, so far, Irina has given you an overview of how to evaluate GenAI and how the Vertex AI evaluation service can help you. But now I want to dive deeper and talk about how Vertex AI is not only a platform that can help you to evaluate GenAI applications like agents, but also allows you to build high quality, safe, and more responsible agents. So for the rest of this session, I will refer to these agents as queries agents. To recap, at this point, you should know or you should have a good understanding of what an agent is. So an agent is a language-based entity capable of planning and acting towards goals. Each agent has several components, a model to reason over goals, determine the plan, and generate the responses, a tool or a set of tools to fetch data, perform actions or transactions by calling other APIs or services, and an orchestration layer to maintain agent memory, its states, and more. Now, assuming that you want to build a queries agent using Vertex AI, here you have some of the key services that Vertex AI provides. To ensure the quality of the agent responses, you may consider to build a retrieval component. And this component identifies relevant information in a knowledge base before passing it to the agent for text generation or response generation. Vertex AI provides a set of APIs that can be called as tools of your agent to build your own retrieval component. Then, to evaluate the agent tools and responses, Vertex AI model evaluation offers both ground truth and model-based evaluation, as Irina mentioned earlier. And finally, to ensure that your agent returns safe responses to your user queries, Vertex AI provides a set of APIs to filter unexpected responses and indicates possible citations. So before to demonstrate how to build a Keras agents using these services, let's take a closer look of each of them. And let's start with the quality services. To build the retrieval component of your agent, as you probably know at this point, you need to process your documents. And the Document AI Layout Process is a powerful tool that transforms documents of a various formats into organized and structured representations. These make elements like paragraph, tables, lists, headers, and more easily accessible. And you can use the Layout Parser API to create context-aware chunks, which will allow enhance the information retrieval capabilities of your agent. After processing your documents and extract meaningful chunks from the text, you can use the Vertex AI Embeddings API to generate embeddings. And it's important to know that the Embeddings API is a highly customizable, allowing you to control the embedding task and its size. This last customization helps you saving memory, storage, and compute resources for your retrieval component and consequently optimize the agent performance. So now let's assume that you created the embedding chunks and you ingest them into a vector DB or a vector search engine. In contrast to a traditional vector DB that relies on the semantic similarity of the document and the query, you may want to re-rank the retrieved documents to ensure the better address that the agent is capable of better addressing the queries that users submit to the agent itself. So the ranking API takes a list of documents and reorder them based on their relevance to the query using a specialized ranking model that assigns a precise relevance score. And you can use this API to filter the retrieval results and generate high quality and possibly less expensive answer with your agents. So the last service that I want to discuss, which will allow you to get better answers from your agent, is the check grounding API. the check grounding API evaluates a given answer against a set of reference to determine how well grounded is the answer itself. And by incorporating this API, you can create some logic that allows agents to return only grounded answers. So far, we explored several Vertex AI APIs that can enhance the quality of the agent responses. But as you can imagine, building an agent is an iterative process that requires ongoing evaluation. So to evaluate an agent, you can use Vertex AI evaluation services. And Vertex AI evaluation services, as I mentioned, provide both computation and model-based evaluators via Rapid Evaluation SDK, and a Vertex AI pipeline. Let's see how. So Vertex AI Rapid SDK is an interactive tool for evaluating the performance of various agent components directly within your notebook. It offers a library of pre-built evaluators that you can customize according to your task. And you can use the library to evaluate agents' responses, but also one of the metrics, specifically the specifically for tooling usage, helps assessing the agent's ability to use valid tools at the right time. Plus, each evaluation you perform is automatically logged in Vertex AI Experiments, which is the managed experiment tracking services on Vertex AI. So we will explore how to use the Rapid SDK, the Rapid Eval SDK to evaluate agents later in the demo. When you need to scale the evaluation process and you want to evaluate agents over time with representative responses you collect from production environment, the Vertex AI evaluation services also provides you some pre-built pipeline components to evaluate agent responses using both ground truth-based and model-based metrics. For the model-based metrics, you have a row-based explanations with confidence score, so you can have more understanding reasons for the agent's responses. And you can also validate those metrics by integrating human rates against model preferences. So here, you have an example of how auto side-by-side can be useful to evaluate responses from can help you to evaluate two set of generated responses with an evaluation dataset. So auto side-by-side utilize a win rate to indicate the frequency with which a large language model used as a judge chooses the preferred generated responses provided by one agent over the other. And the preferred responses here are highlighted in green. To gain a deeper understanding of the win rate, the row-based results that you can see here are also provided, along with the auto raters, explanations, and some confidence scores.
Let me,
so at this point,
if you go back 1 second,
yes,
because that question comes up a lot. The confidence scores, just because that is something that we see quite rarely with generative model outputs. Think of that as I ask Ivan a question 100 times, and he responds like with a very similar answer. That I consider to be something where Ivan is very confident with his answer. If I ask him how many people live in Milan 100 times and the number he tells me is all over the place, then I shouldn't trust him, but should just Google how many people live in Milan. So that is the confidence score. That is nothing generated by the model. This is us probing the model to understand how certain it is in a specific response. All right, Ivan, back to you. Sorry for that call out. I'm just very passionate.
No.
Confidence.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Actually, it's important to clarify some concepts. Okay, so at this point, you know how to evaluate agents and improve their quality. But the last component I would like to cover is about how you can have an agent that generates those responses in a responsible way. So there are two ways, essentially. The first one is represented by safety filters. This is a layer of checks that is applied to the prompt and the response before being returned. Vertex AI checks both the prompt and response for how much they belong to a safety category, and if the threshold is exceed for one or more categories, then the response is blocked, and Vertex AI returns a full back response. Some example of safety categories are related with negative comments targeting an identity or a particular individual. And for each attribute, you have a blocking class to control how often prompts and responses are blocked. For example, here, if you set the block setting to block few for the dangerous content category, everything that has a high probability of being dangerous content is blocked. And you can define safety blocking setting using also the Vertex AI API. The second way you have to build responsible agents using Gemini API is represented by citation check. After the response is generated, Vertex AI checks whatever citation needs to be included with the response. If a significant amount of the generated response comes from a particular source, then the source is added to the citation metadata in the response. And you can manage this citation within or using your agent thanks to the citation API. At the end, with both citation and safety filters, you are not only confident that a Gemini-based agent produce original content, but also that they provide safe answers. Okay, so now you have an idea of how Vertex AI might help in developing Query's agents. So let's see how you can build them in practice. At this point of the GenAI Startup School, you should know that Vertex AI provides an entire suite of services called Vertex AI Agent Builder to ground, argument, and connect tools and orchestrate AI agents. Focusing on agent orchestration, Vertex AI provides line chains on Vertex AI as part of the reasoning engine. And with Vertex line chain on Vertex AI, you can leverage the LangChain open source library to build agentic applications and use Vertex AI for models, tools, and deploy them. It is a simplified and customizable framework that enables you to quickly build and deploy your AI agent prototypes to production in an enterprise environment. So talking about agent prototypes, let's imagine that you want to enhance the Google Cloud documentation app, providing a completely new user experience for navigating the Vertex AI documentation. For the documentation content, you want to use an agent to answer your Vertex AI related questions in the application. So depending on how you decide to build your agent, you may have an agentic application like this one. So in this scenario, each time a new question about the documentation comes in, a routing component will decide which agent should answer the questions with the appropriate tools. For today, we are going to focus how to build only one agent, and we will build the agent using a LangChain of Vertex AI with reasoning engine. So here you have a high-level overview of the developer workflow for building a LangChain AI agent on Vertex AI with the reasoning engine. And if we focus on the development step, as I mentioned earlier, a reasoning engine allows you to develop your own AI agents and maintaining full control over your functions and tools, including API calls, agent setting, and model setting. Plus, it speeds up the process of developing and managing the LangChain agent in such a way that you can easily put the agent to production. So with that, let's see how. After you design your agent and you start developing it, you need to define the prompt. Because the Gemini API in Vertex AI is integrated with function calling, you only need to pass an input string containing the user request, while the agent scratchpad will be a sequence of messages that contains previous agent tool invocation and the corresponding tooling outputs. Also, you define a function to manage the chat message history for the agent itself. Once you have the prompt, you define the model that you want to use in the agent. In this case, we use Gemini 1.5 Pro. And notice that I set the safety filter to ensure that the agent reacts responsibly. After setting prompts memory, and model, you start building tools that will allow you to enable the agent with the necessary capabilities to handle specific user requests. Because we are using Vertex AI reasoning engine, defining a tool simply means either defining a function with its typing or using one of the tools you have in LangChain. In this case, there are two tools I used. One of these tools is a custom tool that retrieves information from BigQuery vector stores and ranks resulting documents. Notice that I used the BigQuery only for prototyping, and I have integrated the rank API that I presented you earlier for re-ranking its resulting documents. The other tool that I use is the LangChain tool for Google Search API. So now that we have tools, we can assemble the agent using the Vertex AI SDK for reasoning engine. As previously mentioned, the reasoning engine offers a LangChain agent template that integrates the model, tools, and reasoning you have developed. And so with that, then the agent is ready to be used. So you can start submitting queries to the agent, and to assess how the agent is good to answer your specific request. As you can imagine, you can conduct manual testing by looking at its response for quality and consistency across various user requests. So here you have an example. I asked the agent, what is LangChain on Vertex AI? And because it's a question about LangChain on Vertex AI, I expect it uses the retriever tool. So I can check the agent intermediate steps of any log in LangChain to verify my assumption of the tool usage. And as for tools, I can assess the quality of the agent's response in the same way. Now, as you can imagine, using this approach using this evaluation approach has several limitations, including that it's time-consuming, it lacks in reproducibility, and also it doesn't provide quantitative measurements about how an agent answers correctly. So to address all these challenges, you can use the Rapid Eval SDK from Vertex AI Evaluation we introduced to you today. So for tooling evaluation, you just need to provide a dataset with a set of expected tools for every user request and the associated set of tools that the agent actually used to respond to address a particular user input. Then you use the Rapid Eval SDK to create an experiment and submit an evaluation, as you can see here. Notice that the evaluation can be submitted using what is called a metric bundle, and the Vertex AI Rapid SDK provides a specific metric bundle, which is a set of metrics to evaluate a specific capabilities, in this case, of the agent. So the tool called quality, it's a bundle of metrics that evaluate how good the agent is in using the right tool at the right time, so with respect of the specific user request. As I mentioned at the beginning, Rapid Eval SDK automatically track the evaluation result within Vertex AI experiment. And in the bundle that I just described, you will have 4 metrics that will take into account several aspects of the tooling usage from the agent. So for example, it will evaluate if the agent is good to pick the right tool, if the agent is able to pass the right parameters to the tool in such a way to produce the expected results, and so on. You have a very detailed documentation about all the 4 metrics included in the tool called Quality Bundle in our official documentation. With the same idea, so using exactly the same Rapid Eval SDK, you can also evaluate the agent responses. Again, all you need to do is to collect the expected and the generated agents, agents answers in a data set. and pass them in an evaluation task together with the metrics. In this case, as you can see, we changed the metric we are using because we are evaluating the text generation capability of the agents. And then you run a new evaluation. As before, the resulting evaluations are automatically tracked in Vertex AI experiments, but as you can see, using the rapid eval SDK, you can retrieve both the summary and the report metrics within your notebook. And these reports essentially provide you a more complete view of the evaluation results with metrics together with explanations and confidence scores. Okay, so now that you know how it works, let's see the rapid eval SDK in action. So in other words, it's time for the demo. So in this demo, we are going to use Colab Enterprise as a notebook environment. And as I just described, in order to build our agent, we start from prompts. So we start defining the agent prompt. And we also set the model that we want to use within our agent. So in this case, we use Gemini 1.5 Pro, and we provide all the safety setting in such a way that we are confident that the agents can provide safe responses. Then we start defining the set of tools that we want to use. I start with the retriever tool, which use the BigQuery vector store as a retriever and the ranking API to re-rank the results. And then I also integrate this tool with two other tools from LangChain. One is the tool for using the Google Search API, and the other one is the tool to get access to Archive. Then I put together all these tools, and I also set the kind of memory that I want to use with my agent. So now that you have the prompt, the model, the tools, and you set the memory, as I showed you before, you can assemble all these components using the reasoning engine in a LangChain agent. And so in this case, again, the reasoning engine provides a pre-built template that allows you to put together all these elements and get the prototype of the agent that you want to build. Now that you have the prototype, what you can do is that for sure you can start testing the agent, right? So you can start with qualitative evaluation where you simply submit questions to the agent or request, and you see the type of response that the agent generates. So in this case, for example, I ask what is LangChain on Vertex AI, and he provide a well-detailed summary of what is the LangChain on Vertex AI. As you can imagine, I expect in that step that he used the retriever tool. Again, and you can keep doing this in an iteratively way to test all the possible scenarios that the agents can receive and the kind of input, especially that the agent can receive from the user to evaluate if the agent is able to use the right tool and generate appropriate responses. But as I mentioned before, this kind of iterative approach, when you need to validate, especially when you need to validate if the tool is picking the right tools or is it providing the right responses, it requires you to deep dive into the agent, right? So in this case, for example, one way that you can do that is that you can get the responses that the agent generates, and then you can check the output itself, but also the intermediate step that allows the agent to generate that output, to generate that response, and check if the agent used the right tool at the right time, and if there was something relevant with respect of the safety filter we set with the model. Of course, this approach is not scalable, and more important, is not reproducible. So what you can do is that you can use the Rapid Eval SDK to improve this evaluation experience. So again, as I mentioned before, all you need to do is first, of course, picking the right set of metrics. In this case, we start by evaluating the tool usage of the agent, and then you provide a data set, actually two data set with two components. One represented by the expected tool calls that you have, and the other one, which you can retrieve from the intermediate step of the agent, which is made by the tools that the agent called for all the queries that you submit. Then, with this data set, you can simply pass this data set in an evaluation task together with the metrics and run an evaluation as I showed you before. So again, when you run an evaluation, a new Vertex AI experiment will be registered in the Vertex AI experiment services. So here you can see how you can leverage the integration of Vertex AI experiment within the notebook to quickly check if the agent is calling the right tool. But at the same time, what you can do, you can use the rapid eval SDK to get the entire report of the metric that it calculates with respect of this task of tool calling within the notebook. So in this case, if the agent was like, if the agent calls all tools with the proper tool parameter key, I should have in the specific column all scores equal to 1. But because for some reason that probably is related to the fact is related to how I develop the agent, the agent is calling a particular tool with a different argument with respect to what I expect. Using the rapid eval SDK allows me to quickly check the discrepancy between what I expect and what the agent actually did. And so with that, I can quickly interact and change the agents, adjust the agents in such a way that it calls the tool in the right way. So what I just showed with the tool, again, in this demo, you can simply use the same concept to evaluate also the responses. All things that change, as I mentioned before, is the metric that you use and the data set that you provide. So in this case, we are going to use metrics for text generation, and the data set, as you can see, is made by the response generated by the agents and the reference response that I have in mind, the agent should provide. Then again, you pass in an evaluation task and you run a new experiment. And associated with this experiment, again, you will have all metrics tracked in the Vertex AI experiment UI, but also you can retrieve the more detailed information in the notebook. And for each of these metrics, you can check also not only the score associated to the metrics, but also the explanation. So why the model assign a certain score with respect to a certain metrics to the agent response, and with which competence. So with that, I mean, we conclude the demo on how to evaluate an agent using the rapid eval SDK that we discussed today. Let me proceed with the slide. Okay. So now it's time to take homes and Q&A. So Irina, do you want to take from here, or I just conclude?
Feel free to conclude. I'll chime in. We can do it jointly.
Okay. So essentially, what we share today is again overview on how you can build agents that are high quality, responsible, and safe, more safe agents on Vertex AI. Of course, as we mentioned at the beginning, the topic and some of the key concepts that we covered today are still under they're still like a topic in the research world. So feel free to use the tool that we show you in a way that you can adapt them to the use case or the context that you have.
And maybe one thing I would add to that, if we go back one slide, we started off with the premise that, hey, this is still an area of active research. There are no clear yes/no solutions or guidelines. At the same time, we hope that this presentation and notebook inspire you to still find your own solutions to that, because on the one hand, yes, we don't have the clear confusion matrix that, you know, is a clear, acceptable way to do the evaluation. But that's also not to say that, okay, like I throw my hands in the air and like eyeballing results is the only thing I can do. There is still a lot of approaches that we find in the community and research available on platforms like Vertex that help you get one step closer to assess quality, to assess responsibility, to assess safety. And you should be aware and use the tools that are out there today to get as close as possible to this Queras agent, while being mindful that this is also developing and new and very like exciting innovations might evolve. But there is more than you can do than just eyeballing results, especially after you've seen this presentation today.
And talking about tools and capabilities, here you have all the documentations, all the notebooks that you can use to start putting your finger on the keyboards and playing with playing with these services. So we will share with you this resource later as well. And of course, as you can imagine, because it's a topic that is keep evolving, more is coming. Okay, so I think we're done. So time for questions. So let's check the.
Yes, there are a couple of questions, but I'll let you first take a short breaker. I have one or two announcements, so I'll invite you back here in a minute or two. Okay. So guys, first of all, that's what we already said a couple of times. We're not sharing the slides, and there are a lot of links on the slides, but I'll make sure, and I promise, I think you promise, that I will copy all of those links that Irina and Ivan just shared to our labs repository. I just checked the labs repository. There's like one small bug. I copy pasted too much in one of the cells. So just give me 30 minutes and this will be updated with all the resources that were shared today over here. So if you can just see the link Google/GenAI-labs in 30 minutes. I would really appreciate that if you give me just a moment. It takes time to update. But with that, I just wanted to reiterate once more our Google for Startups Cloud program. And yes, this is a fantastic resource for you. Just a quick reminder, as Google, we have created a cloud program which is designed for startups at different stages of their development. So whether you're starting or you already secured VC funding and you're there with your MVP and looking for product market fit, there are different tiers that are available to different stages of startups. All the information are over here, Google/Cloud-program. You can get $2,000, you can get $100,000 or even $250,000 to use over a year to build your Gen AI solutions. And not only Gen AI solutions, because these credits cover everything that you're doing on Google Cloud Platform. So it can be used to, prompt and use a lot of tokens to Gemini, but it can also be used on more classical cloud computing. So it's everything that is available on GCP. The application is pretty simple. It takes from 3 to 5 business days for the application to be reviewed, and then you get the credits and you can start right away. There are additional benefits as well, depending on the tier, like Google Workspace or Maps credits or the Skills Boost credits that you already know very well. But basically, whether you're starting or you're already there or you just want to play a little bit or you want to start to build the real solution on us, I guess the cloud program is exactly for you, so that it can be much, much easier and cheaper, basically, for you in the first moment when you're just beginning and testing your solution. That being said, one more thing, I think I'm going to reiterate that on the last session. But after talking to a couple of you on chat today, I would love to see your agents, basically. So if you're building something, or if you built already something with what you have learned during the startup school, we would absolutely love to test it. And just let's keep in touch. Add me on LinkedIn or shoot us an email at startupschool-external@google.com. And we would love to see your solutions and see how they work. Okay, with that, we have time for Q&A. So I'm going to invite both Ivan and Irina back to stage. I've been chatting a little bit with the users there on a chat during your session, and one thing that I was trying to see if people already were doing some kind of evaluation or it's going to be their first time, and it seems like yes, maybe not with this very thoughtful and organized approach to evaluation. So that was great, and of course, showing the tools that we have was also great. But one of the things was like uh, it seems like it's impossible to get fast, cheap, and good. Like you have to resign from one of these things. But like I hope that the grounding actually and the tools that are already there help to make it fast or actually cheap. But with the questions, that was just a comment from my side. So Takushi Yoshida, our fantastic student from Japan, and he said hello from Japan. It's I think evening in Japan right now. Is asking the following: if we create and evaluate a model solely within Vertex AI, the results might lack objectivity. So, are there ways to obtain a more objective evaluation? I think it's a good one, especially with the objectivity and putting trust into one technology or one API or here in Vertex. But well, on the other hand, like we cannot uh, very often allow ourselves to like use 10 different models or 10 different technologies and see who is the best and who is the most effective. So how would you take the one from Takushi?
Yeah, I can give it a stab. So there's, first of all, thank you for that question. That's a very important one that I've thought about, and like our whole engineering team thought about deeply, because this is the gist of an evaluation framework, right? You need to trust that the scale that you're using works, else it's less useful. So I would have three approaches to that. The first one is that, and you've seen this throughout the demo, and hopefully you'll notice this as you work with the tools, we added a lot of elements right to the output that help you make sense of the evaluation. So in all of our compute-based metrics, you immediately see the statistical elements like standard deviation, etc., right, like outputted right next to the result. In the autorator-based metrics, you always see the explanations and the certainty scores and the row-based results. So we thought a lot about should we add this immediately with the result of the autorator, or should we have a specific function where users can configure that? And we actually decided to add it immediately in the output so that you see at the first glance if there's any issues with your evaluation approach. The second piece to that is that we offer a path, and you see that in our documentation in the notebook, to benchmark the autorators against your own evaluations, because that's what it's ultimately about, right? Thus, automated evaluation only helps you if it mirrors how you yourself would do the rating. So for compute-based metrics, that is less needed, because you can look at the metric, you can look at the Bleu and Roche, and you can immediately dive into the details of that and fully understand what it's doing. For the autorator, that's a bit more tricky because it's yet another generative model. So this is why we suggest that you benchmark the autorator. So how this looks like is you take, say, 50 input prompts. You do the rating yourself, and then you compare this rating output to the autorator's rating. And we help you calculate the relevant statistical metrics like Cohen's kappa to understand, hey, am I in line with how the autorator thinks, or is the autorator like doing something that's very different from my judgment, and I should look closer into what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And then third pillar, and I'll end with that third pillar. Think of our pre-built metrics as tools that help you do evaluation with less effort. So yes, we have our autorator out of the box. Yes, we have our metrics out of the box, but we also allow you to bring your own dimensions that you want to evaluate, metrics that you want to evaluate, or even autorators that you want to use. And so there's in rapid eval, there's a lot of flexibility that just allow you to bring your own evaluation logic into the game and not use our pre-built stuff. to add some elements that are specific for your use case and maybe allow you a different lens from what we offer to the evaluation logic. Sorry, that was a very long answer, but that's a brilliant question and one that I think about deeply.
The brilliant questions, they require long answers. Absolutely. Okay, I have a one from Johnny Nguyen, if I pronounced the name properly. And actually, we touched upon the safety filters a little bit back in week 2, but he's basically asking, what is the benefit to configure the safety filter? We often meet many issues with no output because of the safety filter, especially when doing medical questions. And indeed, there are certain industries like health tech that might have troubles and challenges with the safety filters. So what's the benefit, where, when, and how we should use the safety filter? And what if our agent is giving no output because of the filter, but it must give some output because that's the whole purpose of the agent and this specific use case?
Yeah, no, I can take this. So with respect to the issue of the no output, what I noticed in the past is that defining like a very good exception handling policy in the code can help for sure. And also you can implement some kind of logic in the agent in such a way that if you face that particular block, you can like route the answer from the input or the question from the user in a fallback answer. But in general, I think the benefit of setting safety filters is it allows me not just to like filter the answer like once I have the agent and I start playing with it and I see that some responses are blocked, but they are useful mainly to assess some safety risk that the app can have, or the agent in this case. So the generative AI agent can have with respect of the context and the task that I'm trying to achieve. So if, for example, I build the agent and start submitting some requests, and most of the time the requests are blocked because the safety filter, it may means that I need to assess my safety risk and the safety risk associated to the application in considering different aspects, like something that maybe I didn't consider so far. So don't use like this as a just as an API, as a filter, this concept of filter as it is, but use it also in a reactive way. So if the filters block most of my input or most of the generated responses, then it means that I missed something while I was assessing like the context where I built the app. So that's the way I will also highlight the benefit of safety filters.
Gotcha. Thank you. I have at least 2 more. We have still plenty of time, so I think it's going to be a good Q&A. So Ivan, maybe to you. Let's say the metrics from the tools that you've showed, the evaluation metrics, are showing unsatisfactory results. So what would be the best resources to figure out what to change, what to modify if these metrics are not okay? So basically, we know something is wrong, but like, how can we understand what is wrong? And that's a question from Rebecca Balebaco.
Okay. I mean, again, having evaluation tools like the one that we show you today, it helps a lot because essentially, I mean, something that we didn't show today is maybe some downstreaming representation that you can use in order to give like a more helpful, like visualize the metrics that you have with more details. So in such a way that you can literally dive deeper in the results of the evaluation that the service generates. But for sure, if you think about the example of the evaluation we did with the tooling, with the tool usage, I mean, the using the SDK essentially was showing that I expect that a tool receive a particular argument, but actually my expectations were wrong because maybe I made some mistake in coding, encoding the usage of the tool inside the agent. So these are the kind of insights that you can consume directly. Just simply look at the output of the evaluation that is provided by the services. I don't know, Irina is saying yes. So if you if you want to add more about how you can use these metrics to evaluate results, it would be also good. You're on mute. You're
on mute. The classic muting.
It has to happen once, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's exactly around these lines. I would maybe add one thing. This is to perform the evaluation on subsamples of your data. So say like there's two sides of this. So maybe understand the input prompts, understand how they relate to each other, and figure out specific use cases that you want to rerun the evaluation for, to further dive and like slice and dice your data set to identify what the issue might be.
Gotcha. Okay, next one, again from Takeshi-sama, saying, I believe that providing feedback on evaluations to models and RAG systems can create a closed loop for continuous improvement. Well, I think this belief is right, but Takeshi-sama is asking, how can we effectively achieve this? So like, okay, we have a feedback, we want to give it to both models and the whole RAG that we have created and have this closed loop, continuous loop, how to make it, efficient, basically.
That's a very good and very forward-looking question. This is something we're definitely thinking about, and stay tuned for how we're integrating that in the product. How this happens today is that at the moment, we are at a stage of figuring out how evaluation works across different methods, but we need the user in the loop to then feed these results back in. This can look very simple. So you see an evaluation and you dive into the results and understand what does and doesn't work. And then you give this feedback to our autorater by, say, defining a specific custom metric, or even redefining a metric that we defined for you. Say, we have a definition of fluency. You see that you don't like that, and you improve how the rater works for you by changing the definition of fluency. So this is like one minor thing where this can happen. But obviously, it goes way broader than that, where actually you can use the eval results to then improve the model to reevaluate again. But at the moment, you have to be in the loop for that. But we're definitely thinking about how we can help automate this further while still giving you enough transparency and visibility so that you're still in control on this improvement loop, because we don't want to just have a loop that might go in a totally wrong direction and waste a lot of resources in achieving that.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. I think we're going to the end because not much of a new questions are showing up. Ravi Kumar, and I know Ravi very well over here. I see a lot of his questions, a lot of his chat messages. And Ravi is asking, how do we evaluate RAG applications? Do we have metrics like context recall, precision, F1 score? Any of you?
I can go with it, Irina, if you want.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the capabilities that you can use in a Vertex AI model evaluation to evaluate RAG is again with the Rapid Eval SDK. So in the Rapid Eval SDK, we provide like a set of bundles that allows you to evaluate the question answering quality, the question answering relevance, the groundiness of the response. So all these aspects that are essentially related to evaluating a RAG application. But one important thing that maybe we didn't stress much during the presentation, which I think is useful, is that one of the cool things of Rapid Eval SDK is that it's open. So you can, in the sense that not only you can integrate external models, but you can also integrate your own custom evaluation logics. So essentially what you can do is that you can define your metrics. So you can consider to use our bundles to evaluate RAG, and we have them. And actually, we can share the a very great tutorial, so notebook where that it shows how to do that. But at the same time, don't forget that if you're really looking for some specific metrics, you can simply integrate the metrics in the RapidEval SDK and make the metrics part of the old view that we show you in the demo.
Okay. I'm going to end with an open question, an open discussion once again, because like this is a recurring theme: the cost, speed, and the quality. So once again, maybe if we can talk a little about the evaluation cost, like how does it like it takes time, first of all, and the time is money very often, and we want to bring our agents as soon as possible, and it definitely prolongates the time to market if we want to spend time on this quality innovation. Any tips, observations from your experience, like when to start, when to end, how to evaluate even the costs of evaluation, right?
I can take a stab at that. So I would disagree. I think or I'm sure that without evaluation, you will lose time and you will lose money.
Mm.
Why I'm saying that is that you need to do some type of understanding the outputs, whether you're using automated evaluation tools or not. And if you do that without tooling help, that will cost you a lot of time and you will run into issues because these models you need to control how these models behave if you want to put an application onto the market. I have not yet seen anyone who is brave enough to do that without any evaluation. Mm-hmm. So what I can imagine is you start without evaluation because you don't consider it important. But then towards the end, you'll see a couple of real issues that are going to require a lot of rework. Now, the time is actually something that we addressed with this notebook evaluation approach. So we started our journey of building out these tools very similarly to how we did evaluation for predictive models, which was all like most often based on an asynchronous job, built-in pipelines. But then we understood quite quickly from our users that what people care about with these models is actually rapid feedback. You need results right away because there's so many changes that you can do that don't require you to assemble a large data set or do anything big. You can just change the comma or a bit of wording in your prompt template, and then you want to rerun and get new results again. So to your question, I would say the following. A is to move quickly. You need to think about adopting some way of automated evaluation. I think it's not possible to do it without that. Second, to move more quickly, think about combining the notebook-based evaluation with the batch jobs. Think about where you really need a batch job, but where you can work with like very quick feedback. And thirdly, actually, put in the time to benchmark the evaluators you're using, be it on our service or anywhere else. But understanding deeply what it means, what a metric means that you're using. If you're using Bleu, what specifically is it measuring? And second, if you're using an autorater, benchmark it against your human preferences. As I said, it can be 50 data points, it can be 25 data points, but do really take the time to set up the evaluation framework that you're applying so that it works for you, and so that after you've done the setup, you can be confident enough to use this to your advantage and to move really quickly and really have meaningful results rather than a metric that you don't fully understand or an autorater that you don't fully trust.
Thank you, Irina. Ivan, your take on that? Do you agree, disagree?
No, I completely agree with Irina. Plus, I mean, during the demo, this is another thing that I didn't like. If you saw, we test, like, for example, just when we were showing the tooling part, I test like just the 4 tool calls, but because the number of the metrics that the services calculate, at the end of the day, it calculates 16 metrics in just like some seconds. So I think the idea is, again, I agree with Irina. With the Rapid Eval SDK, we like felt this kind of challenges with respect of time, with respect of cost, and I think we did everything we can do so far. Then stay tuned to try to address those challenges. So I agree with what we just discussed.
Thank you. I will just now conclude with what Justin Su said on chat. Thank you guys for sharing so many great experiences and useful information. I found it very useful, and I like the Rapid SDK for Eval. And I think like you gave a lot of tips as well. And I hope that our agents that were built throughout the startup school at Gen AI will be indeed of a high quality, evaluated very much, and responsible and safe. Thank you so much for your time and making it today with us. I'm glad we had that conversation. I'll let you rest now. I hope that the feedback from the user will be great, but at least looking at the chat, it is great, and there are a lot of thankful people over there. So thanks once again. And we're going to conclude this Gen AI session on the week 4. That was the second to the last, and the last session is around the corner on Thursday, 13th June, same time. We're going to bring it all together with orchestration, productization, and deployment. We're going to have 2 fantastic speakers, Alan and Patrick. They are product managers and staff engineers at Vertex AI. We're going to see how it all works together, how we deploy it all together. It's going to be a good one, a fantastic ending. So see you at the same time. It's going to be the last time I'm going to miss you, actually. But I hope you will all show up on Thursday. With that, please enjoy the week. And once again, in 30 minutes, the Gen AI Labs repository will be updated with all the links that you have seen on the presentation today. Thank you. See you.